The people who are hurting out there aren't all Democrats, all Republicans. They're all Americans, and they're from all over this country. And unfortunately, we have now drifted into a status where even this has become a political issue. And I would just say to my colleagues on the Republican side of the aisle who are blocking unemployment benefits for the millions of unemployed people in this country, go out and meet some of these people. Last Friday, I went to Pilsen, which is a section in Chicago, and I went to an office called the National Able Network, where they are trying to help the unemployed find a job. And I sat at a table with about 12 unemployed people around me. I wish my Republican colleagues would actually sit down and meet some of these people who are unemployed. They'll learn something. These are not lazy people. These are not people who enjoy being unemployed. These are people who are now desperate. Desperate people. Let me tell you about Ira. I won't use his last name. I met him. 43 years old, African-American. He worked at one of the biggest banks in Chicago until 14 months ago, and he was in charge of human relations. He said, my job was to place people in jobs. Now I'm trying to place myself in a job. He's going to DePaul University to pick up a certification in his field in the hopes that that will give him an edge to try to find a new job. Ira is a father with a family, and his son suffers from a serious illness. Ira has no health insurance. He lost it when he lost his job. Corrine was another one. Corrine had been a vice president at a bank in downtown Chicago, which the presiding officer would know if I mentioned its name. She had worked her way up at age 61 to a good-paying job, and she lost it when the bank went out of business and merged. She said, I look through all these different classified ads, and I go on the internet. There aren't too many jobs for vice presidents at banks, and that's what I used to be. Now, she said, I'm ready to do whatever it takes. Corinne has no health insurance either. I went around the table and asked these people what they're up against, and they have said basically when we stop receiving unemployment checks, if the Congress does not extend this, we will turn to our savings. And one lady said, I don't have any savings. I've spent it all just to keep my house so that I don't go into foreclosure. That is the reality of this issue. So why are the Republicans stopping us from extending unemployment insurance benefits? Some of them oppose it. Some of them believe that people who are unemployed are just plain lazy. They should sit down and talk to some of these folks. As the senator from New Hampshire said, 6 unemployed people for every available job in America. This isn't laziness. This is a reality of a recession which this president inherited. Some others want to try to refinance and reconfigure unemployment as we know it. Unemployment benefits that we pay are paid from a fund collected from all working Americans while we're working, just for the rainy day possibility that we'll lose a job someday. So there is money in the fund to pay these benefits. Some of them, one of the senators came to the floor on the Republican side last week and said, I want to figure out a new way to refinance unemployment benefits. That's a great exercise and a great challenge. But for goodness sakes, while you debate this issue, are you going to let hundreds of thousands of people wonder whether they'll be able to keep food on the table? That's the reality. And there's a third group who, honest to goodness, just believe that these folks here don't deserve to receive this money, that it really means that they won't try hard to find a job. That is fundamentally unfair. If you believe in families, family values, and a safety net for America, unemployment insurance is absolutely essential and critical. 400,000 American families have run out of unemployment insurance benefits already, and the Republicans stop us from bringing up the bill to extend this safety net to unemployed Americans. There are 20,000 in my state of Illinois who lost their benefits just a few days ago at the end of September. Another 200,000 families across the country who will lose their benefits this month because the Republicans continue to stop us from extending unemployment insurance benefits. What are they waiting for? 1.3 million Americans will lose their temporary assistance by the end of the year if the Republicans stop us from moving on this legislation. 50,000 families in Illinois, just like the ones I met with last Friday. This money is essential for these families. It's essential for the economy. The money you put in an unemployment check is going to turn around and be spent by these people instantly. They are living paycheck to paycheck, and in this case, unemployment check to unemployment check. Never in the history of the nation's unemployment insurance program have more workers been unemployed for such prolonged periods of time. That's why we're extending the benefits. Half of all jobless workers can't find a job within the first 6 months they find benefits. That's the highest percentage of prolonged unemployment in the history of the program. I can tell you what this comes down to. We are either going to stand up for these people who have been victims of this recession, or we're going to watch more and more Americans show up at the bread lines, show up at the soup kitchens, show up at the homeless shelters. The New York Times had an article yesterday. 1 out of 10 Americans in homeless shelters today are victims of foreclosure. In the Midwest, it's 1 out of every 6. Now, we're pretty comfortable here as members of the Senate. Our life isn't bad at all. We know our next paycheck's coming in. But what about these poor people? I would say to the Republicans, it's time to wake up to reality. Don't talk about family values and rewarding work and standing up for people when you believe in them and turn down these unemployment benefits. It's time for us to pass these benefits now, and the Republicans had better step aside.